uploaded a video some time ago in which I argued that the left-right spectrum is worse than useless. Here, I would like to summarize and expand on what I said in that video. When someone says that X or Y is left-wing or right-wing, I simply do not know what this means. My contention is that no one really knows what this means. Left-wing seems to generally mean socialist or egalitarian. Why then not just say egalitarian? That is a relatively minor complaint. Right-wing, on the other hand, serves to just mean not egalitarian, rendering it a completely useless grab bag of a category. It is exceedingly difficult to see how fascists, anarcho-capitalists, and Islamists, all of which are routinely termed right-wing, share essential similarities of greater salience in the taxonomy of political ideologies than their differences. Indeed, any spectrum that co-locates as violently opposed ideologies as National Socialism and Libertarianism cannot be fit for purpose. What possible principle, taken from its most moderate to its most extreme incarnation, could lead one to advocate a racial Volksgemeinschaft, a market anarchy, and temporal rule by His Holiness the Dalai Lama? And in what order? The term right-wing carries no explanatory power whatsoever and can only lead to serious confusion. Indeed, when I was in graduate school, I remember seeing two of my classmates completely speak past each other regarding the far right and its attitude towards globalization. One student clearly took the term to mean libertarians or neoliberals, and the other ultranationalists. Why, then, is the use of the left-right spectrum so ubiquitous? Why have none of the efforts to make a more nuanced multi-axial spectrum caught on? The answer, I suggest, lies in the logic of democracy. It is no poetic flourish to say, as de Tocqueville did, that in democracy the voice of the people becomes, or more accurately replaces, the voice of God. This being so, the age of democracy demands that political knowledge be made available to the masses, for God must be omniscient. Given that the average person is, practically by definition, mediocre in their ratiocinative capacities, the mapping of political differences must be made as simple as possible so as to be grasped with the minimum of effort. The simplest possible conceptualization of plurality is duality. It is self-evident that any number above 2 is more complex than 2. A dualistic spectrum, which is only slightly more nuanced than a simplistic binary, and in most day-to-day political conversation reducible to binary anyway, can thus be grasped by the everyman. This also accounts for the use of quotidian terms in denoting the ends of the spectrum, in place of whatever ordering principle is in use. It is no coincidence that this spectrum emerged from the French Revolution, which, along with the American Revolution before it, represent prime examples of democracy's bloody fruits and the metapolitical victory it has accomplished. The left-right spectrum is thus a product of the massification of politics, which followed these two epoch-making revolutions. The simplification of politics for the sake of accessibility resembles the teaching of science in secondary schools. The hard sciences at this level are taught in such an elementary way that what is conveyed to students is simply untrue. This is one of the reasons why Newtonian physics is still on the curriculum in many countries, despite long since having been superseded by the theories of Einstein. This analogy differs from the use of the left-right spectrum, insofar as the former vulgarization is discarded at the undergraduate level and beyond, whereas the left-right spectrum is widely promoted and generally unquestioned. Since science, or rather the materialist scientistic worldview, has supplanted metaphysics, scientific experts have since been subject to a degree of veneration as possessors of a higher knowledge, which was reserved in former ages for the priestly caste alone. Experts in politics, being subject to the populism of democracy, have had no such luck. Populism being not, as is in vogue to claim these days, a threat to democracy, but rather its very essence. Democracy demands that politics be accessible to all, and so the result is a degradation of the intellectual discourse. As a consequence, many intelligent and erudite scholars of politics have, almost universally adopted a patently nonsensical terminology. This having been said, I would claim that we are seeing, in the form of the climate denialist, anti-vaccination, and flat earth movements, democracy's levelling impulse now being extended to the formerly pseudo-sacred realm of science. This could be seen as a sign of the further historical decline from the stage of modernity to post-modernity. It is because of this downward trajectory that the aforementioned efforts to construct more complex spectra have failed to gain popularity. Even if such efforts were to be more successful, I believe they would still fall short of what is necessary for scholars to accurately map political differences. As already oft stated in my earlier video, we must recognize that any spectrum will necessarily employ an ordering principle that reflects a specific ideology. If you value my work, I'd be most grateful if you would like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this video with anyone you think might be interested. If you would like to support me in working on this project, I'd be deeply thankful if you would consider becoming a regular supporter through Patreon or making a one-time donation through Ko-fi, links in the description. If you do subscribe, please remember to hit that little bell icon, because otherwise YouTube won't inform you when I upload new videos. If you'd prefer to read my essays over the video format, they are all available in written form on Substack. Link also in the description.